In the 1760s, the British Navy sent HMS Endeavour on a grand scientific mission to sail halfway across the world, observe the transit of Venus, and map unknown coastlines for the glory of the empire. It was a story of astronomy, navigation, and ambition. But when the ship dropped anchor in Tahiti in 1769, a much more primal story started unfolding below deck. One that you won't find in the captain's official log. This is the story of how ordinary sailors began prying their own ship apart, nail by nail, all for a night with a local woman. To understand why a simple nail became a currency for intimacy, you have to see this moment from two completely different perspectives. For the British sailors, iron was everywhere. A nail was just a cheap, disposable piece of hardware, one of thousands holding their world together. But for the Tahitians, living on a volcanic island where stone, bone, and shell were the strongest materials they had, iron was like magic. It was a substance that could carve a canoe in a fraction of the time, shape tools that wouldn't break, and slice through wood with an ease they had never seen. And these strange visitors from the sea had an unimaginable amount of it. At first, the contact was formal. Captain James Cook made grand proclamations, and the ship's botanist, Joseph Banks, collected plants. The British offered cloth and beads. The Tahitians offered pigs and fruit. But soon, a new kind of trade began. Tahitian women started approaching the sailors, pointing at their knives, their belt buckles, and especially the nails on the ship. Then, they'd point to themselves and to a quiet spot beyond the palm trees. The transaction was clear without a single word needing to be spoken. For the sailors, who had endured months crammed together at sea, this seemed like a paradise. But for Captain Cook, it was a structural nightmare. The ship was literally being dismantled from the inside out. Loose nails went first, then fittings, then vital planks were pried free in the dead of night. The very vessel that was supposed to carry them home was at risk of falling apart in the next storm. Cook was furious. He enforced strict new rules. No trading ship parts, period. Anyone caught would be flogged. But this wasn't just about discipline, it was a culture clash. From the British officer's perspective, this was prostitution. But from the Tahitian side, it was far more complex. Sexual hospitality could be a way to form alliances or show honor. For a young woman, a liaison with a foreigner could bring status and, more importantly, tools that could dramatically improve her family's life. The Western idea of sex being confined to marriage, shrouded in sin and shame, simply didn't exist here. Generosity and exchange were what mattered. Of course, this wasn't a perfect system. The power imbalance was immense. The presence of European ships and guns warped every interaction. But to simply dismiss the Tahitian women as easy, as many later sailors did, is to ignore their strategy and agency. For many, trading a night of intimacy for a piece of iron wasn't just a dalliance. It was a calculated exchange to secure revolutionary technology that could ensure their family's survival. There's a deep irony here. The very nails that held the British Empire's ships together, the physical fasteners of its global power, were being pulled out one by one to satisfy the private desires of its own men. Each squeak of a pried plank was a tiny act of rebellion against the grand, clean narrative of scientific discovery. The official story of the Endeavour's voyage is one of charting stars and coastlines. But the unofficial one, whispered between the decks and on the moonlit beaches of Tahiti, is a raw story of desire, power, and the messy, intimate bargains that are made when two worlds collide. Thanks for watching. If you found this piece of hidden history interesting, make sure to like and subscribe for more stories that you won't find in the official textbooks.